walked in my house. As we walked in, there was bang. Ron went, "What's that, mate?" And with that, he fired. And I sort of turned like that, and he went, "You'll be all right." And it's just come through from the Home Office. They've added another 8 years on top.
Ron Cook was an armed robber as well,
Yeah.
you know, and he was a well-known
He was my
operator.
boyfriend.
Yeah, and he was, look, you know, and he went away, didn't he? He got nicked, he went away. How long did he get?
He got 16 years.
Right, he got a 16, you know, he done, you know, a long time in that, and then he come out, it was a home leave he come out on, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a day out.
Right,
And
so
I
what
picked him
happened?
up.
What happened on that day? Take us to that day. Right, so he's gone away. What happened on that day, Linda?
I picked him up from Maidstone.
Yeah.
Well, going back on the Friday, I mean, I used to visit Brian, and going back to when Brian was on remand, he got to know Danny Reese.
Yeah, Danny Reese. I knew Danny as well.
And another really tough guy.
Yeah.
Brian said to me one day, "Oh, Danny's mum's broken her arm. She can't come. She's not going to be able to come for a while. Would you hand him in something to eat?" Because those days, as you know, on remand, you could hand in a dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
So I went, "No, of course not." So then he said, "Look, get him out the cell. Would you mind? You can have him. We can have both sit next to each other." So I said, "Yeah, get him out." Anyway, he come out, this really tough guy, like, sat down
Yeah,
and
he was
went,
a big lump, Danny
went-
Reese. I remember him when we was.
and he went, "I'm not a charity case." I said, "Well, nobody said you was." I said, "Brian just said, would I mind bringing you in a dinner when I bring him in a dinner, because your mum's not able to come up at the moment." He went, "Oh yeah, I appreciate that." So he said, "You ain't got to get me out." I said, "Well, I've got you out because Brian said it gets you a half hour at the cell."
Yeah.
Anyway, so I started seeing him, and then he went off. He went to another prison. Brian went off to where he was going. I ended up in prison. Danny used to write to me. Brian used to write to me, and Ron used to write to me. So when I come home, I still used to visit everybody.
Yeah.
Well, it came round to Danny was getting a home leave. Well, while he'd been away, one of his sons had got killed in a car crash. A young boy got run over. And he said, when I went and saw him, he said, "I've got home leave coming up next week." So I said, "Have you?" So I said, "What are you going to do?" So he went, "First thing I'm going to do is go to the cemetery and find my son's grave." So I went to him, "You can't do that on your own." I said, "Your son is in the same churchyard as Mickey. So I don't mind, I'll take you and then I'll drop you off home." So he said, "No, you ain't got to do that." I said, "I have, because I don't want you to go and try and find his grave on your own. I'll go in and ask where it is, so I know where it is and I can show you." So I said, "What are you coming out in?" He said, "I ain't really got anything here." Anyway, I bought a jacket and I took it and said, "Yeah, I bought you a jacket." So he put his new jacket on. We drove down to the cemetery and I went to him, "That's your son's grave." Well, he just fell on top of it, sobbing, which you can understand. So I sort of went round to Mickey's grave, went and see sort of a couple of other in my family, and sort of just standing waiting. And in the end, I went up and said to him, "Come on, Danny." So his eyes were really, I said to him, "Do you want to come back to my house, freshen up before I drop you to your mum?" He went, "Do you mind?" So I said, "No, not at all." So I took him back to my house. So my son was sitting watching one of the pirate films that had just come out. You know, they used to do the pirate videos then. And he walked in and went, "Oh, that's so-and-so, didn't know that was out." And you went, "It's a pirate." So he went, "Do you want to watch it?" So he went, "Well, I'm just going up to the bathroom." And he went up, he come down and he sat and watched the film with Neil. So I said, "Do you want a bite to eat?" Made him something to eat. And I dropped him off. So obviously his fingerprints were in my house anyway, which, if I was anything to do with it, the last thing I would have done is had him come in my house.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
No. I certainly wouldn't have said to him, come in my house, you're going to do it.
You know what, the other evidence that comes into my head is you're not somebody who doesn't know how to plan, Linda.
Exactly.
Because you've been doing it years before at the bits of work.
And I certainly...
And to be able to do that, you need to be on top of stuff.
I certainly would not have said, oh, you do a murder for me, come in my house and leave your fingerprints all over it. In black and white. Yeah, it sounds... But that's the truth.
It doesn't make any sense, yeah.
It don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said to him, look, I could run you back on... I was going to offer to run you back Monday. I said, but I'm picking Ron up for the day. So he said, oh, are you? He said, what are you doing? I said, oh, he wants to come back here. So, because they went, well, how did he know that he was going to be in your house? Well, because I'd said I was picking Ron up, so that's why I couldn't run him back. Anyway, walked in my house. As we walked in, there was bang, really loud bang, where the street door was kicked open. And I was standing closer to Ron than I'm sitting here with you. And I didn't know who it was then, just a big bloke, balaclava. And he did an Irish accent and went, get down, armed police, but in an Irish accent. And I'm like, and with that, Ron went, what's that, mate? And with that, he fired. And Ron had a pale blue, like that coloured jacket. And all of a sudden, the blood started, and I screamed and bent down in the corner like this. Because I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking...
The stuff happens really fast, but it's like slow motion.
Yeah. Well, then, it was, this one's for Mickey Calvey. Bang. And then there was this horrible noise, like, where obviously the blood was all coming out. And I sort of turned like that, and he went, you'll be all right. And it was Danny Reese. And he ran. And I'm like, so I've run out my house, and funnily enough, there's a policeman walking along in my road. And he's run over, put his arm around me, and run in the house and run out, and he went, it's 12:28, it's a murder. And that murder was literally 2 minutes old. So within 10 minutes, you can imagine how many old Bill was there. So they said, what happened? So I told them exactly what happened, but I never named him. Because I thought, you've done that for Mickey. I cannot go, oh, that was Danny Reese.
Why do you think he'd done it then? Just like in your own head, because this is a question people ask.
Brian, he told Brian, but Brian never told me, that Ron was on the robbery where Mickey got shot, and he said, I always wanted his wife, I shut him out, I'll see my chance to get rid of him. Obviously he didn't think he was going to be shot. He thought, oh, leave him on the pavement, he's going to get 15.
These things happen, you never know. I've seen it all before.
Yeah, and...
But, who's to say?
No, so...
But, like motive,
So Brian apparently had said to Danny, I wanted to be home when he come home. I was going to do it. I was going to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And Danny went to him, I'll do it for you, I'm home soon. And they planned that between them. And the only reason, if I hadn't have said, I can't take you back on Monday because I'm picking Ron up, that wouldn't have happened. Because he wouldn't have known that I was...
Wouldn't have known.
No. And that was the reason.
Events, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a crazy turn of
And
events.
they say fact is stranger than fiction, and it truly is.
Yeah.
It truly is. So I said exactly what happened. Now, it was a shooting. There was no gun left. There was just Ron laying on the floor dead and me hysterical. I got took to the station as what I was, a witness to a murder. And I said exactly what happened, but I never named him. Well, I can't name him.
At that point, you're not going to. I mean,
No.
let's be honest.
So
You're just not going to.
they said,
Not that
right,
people think,
no,
you don't,
I
you
mean,
don't know what's going on.
they said, we need your clothes.
There's a lot of trauma there, a lot of fear and all that stuff. So
They said, we
you
need
can
your
do to
clothes
keep
for
your mouth shut.
forensics.
Yeah.
Well, I had a light tan leather jacket on, and all the way down the back of my jacket was blood, where I was in the corner like this.
Yeah.
So they said, have you got somebody we can phone to bring you some clothes so we can keep like your clothes? So I said, yeah, phone my brother, his wife's the same size. So they went, oh, your brother said it'd be half hour. So they made me a cup of coffee, sitting, and all of a sudden they've gone, actually, we can eliminate you while you're here. So I said, yeah, please do. So they went, would you like a solicitor? So I said, I don't need a solicitor, I haven't done anything. Now, if I'd have been anything to do with it, I would have gone, yeah, I do want a solicitor. But I didn't need, I thought, I've not done anything. So they went, right, they come in and they went, swab my hands, swab my face. Then he went, because I had tissues, have you got a fresh hanky? So I said, I haven't got a hanky. And one of the police put his hand in his pocket like that, and he had it flat on his hand, was a hanky with a blue initial, but I couldn't see what the initial was. But you know those old
monograms, yeah.
Yeah. So he went, it's not new, but it's clean. And he went to him, you won't get it back. He went, no, she's welcome. Anyway, they said, I had to blow in this hanky like this, took it away. About 5 minutes before my brother came, they come in and said, best thing you could have done, you're totally eliminated. We know you didn't do it. So I said, oh, thank you. 5 minutes later, my brother comes, I've given them my clothes, put the clothes on, I've gone home. Just over a week later, there's a knock on the door. Why didn't you tell us you were Linda Calvey? I said, I did. I've signed my statement. You didn't tell us you were Linda Calvey that kicked up all that fuss about Michael Banks. So what? So I said, what? Who shot my husband in the back? Yeah, what difference does it make? There went all the difference in the world, you're now our suspect. So I said, but you eliminated me last week. Did we? How did we do that then? And they denied doing it.
Yeah, they will. It's just a game, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a game. So, you know, they arrested you. I mean, they concoct this stuff to fit their own, you know, and they never give the defence stuff that, you know, which should be given, that goes against their version of events in these cases, right? So they said, didn't they? What did they say? What was their version of events on with this, so people know?
Oh, well, they said, oh, she paid Danny Reese £10,000 to come and commit this murder. He fired one shot, he lost his bottle, he couldn't fire the second shot, so she killed him. That was their one. So my QC said...
Nice and tidy for him, isn't it? You know,
he
so
said,
everyone's culpable for it.
So he said, my QC said, oh, you just said to the jury, she gave him £10,000. So he went, yes. He went, well, I'm presuming you checked her bank accounts. Yeah, we did. Well, was there a £10,000 draw on that? They went, no. He went back to court that day, went back to prison that same day. Did he have any money on him? No. Did you check his mum's where he lived? Did you find money? No. So he said, well, where did you... He said, you've just told this jury as a fact. She gave him £10,000 to commit a murder. He went, well, it's the going rate. He went, it's the going rate. What are you talking about? It's the going rate. He said, you've pulled that out of the air and told that jury that is a fact. That's not a fact. So then they went, yeah, but she fired the first shot. Oh, he fired the first shot. He couldn't do it. And then she fired the second shot. She killed him. He said, but your own evidence that you've now denied doing proved that she didn't do it. He went, no, we forgot to do it. He said, what, you're telling us, the murder squad, that was the freshest scene of a murder you've probably ever been to. Am I correct? They went, yeah. He said, because that policeman went, it's 12:28, it's a murder, and that murder had happened 2 minutes. He went, yeah, well, I accept that. So he said, and it was a shooting, and you took...
We take swabs and all that?
You took Linda
for residents?
took Linda to the station.
Anyway, but there's two different types of residents.
Yeah, there is. Whether you're this side or that side.
Mine was, I was close, or a fire of a gun.
That they knew I was the
and the other one can be passed.
So they said, he said, so you're telling us within 20 minutes of that murder happening, you'd taken Linda back as a witness so you could get fresh clothes to take her clothes, etc. And not one of you murder squad officers thought, we better do a gun residue test. He went, no, it was an oversight.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's nonsense.
Everybody...
It's the first thing they do.
Yeah.
Every time I go in there, they do that anyway.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So that
even if you had a gun or not.
I mean, when the forensic said the only way she could have committed that murder was if her arms was 8 foot long. And we can all see she ain't got no different arms to anybody else. And yet they come back with a guilty.
That's quite a point, Lind, right? I have to say, because look, you know, even me, my own experience, when I was arrested, that's what actually got me convicted. Yeah. They moved a lot of stuff around in that case, but there was gunpowder residues, and there's 2 types of it. There is. But, you know, what I'm saying is, anywhere where there's a gun fired or anything like that, that's the first thing that they do. So them not doing that
it's any
shows
other
that they didn't think. They'd already took you out of that case then. So
they just went,
proves
she
what you're
didn't have a
saying.
solicitor here, say we didn't do it.
Yeah, because that's the first thing they would have done, right?
And then
so that goes against what they're saying,
you could say to any other police person, and they go, oh, they must have done it.
Yeah. And the murder squad, these are not little boys who are just starting off in the police.
No,
these are the top of the tree, right? Flying squad, murder squad. They're the top resources, top experienced detectives. They don't make mistakes.
Because I said in the doc, I said, they went, you know all about guns. I said, I do. I know enough about a sawn-off shotgun that I wouldn't stand 12 inches away from the person who's being shot.
Before we jump into that now, my new book was just hit bestseller on 2 categories called Extraordinary, Stephen Gillen, The Search for a Life Worth Living. What did you feel like when this happened in front of you? Just tell people, what did you feel like? What was it like, Lynn?
It was the most...
It's quite an event, right?
It was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. My kitchen was only little. At the time, I lived in a little 2 up, 2 down house with a little kitchen built on the back. So you know it's a tiny little kitchen. And the 3 of us was in this kitchen. And I was next to Ron. And it was absolutely horrifying. It was absolutely horrible. And I truly thought, because until he went, you'll be all right, I thought, who is this? Am I going to get shot?
Yeah, that's what you'd be thinking. You're thinking, do you go? Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I was in the... When I saw the first shot, I went like this and bent down in the corner and thought, is it going to be me as well?
Yeah. That's normal reaction, you know. So look, so they left you out for a while, and then they've come back round to it at the police, put you down as a suspect. You was arrested. You go up to the Old Bailey. You have a trial, and you get guilty for this.
Now this is another thing that is different. So I've never heard anybody else this happen to. Now I was charged with gangland murder. Gangland murder. I said, well, what's the difference? They went, gangland murder starts at 21 years up, as you know. At the end of the trial, the judge put the black cap on his head, and I thought, I really got slagged off by the judge when I got me 7 years. And I thought, now I'm going to get really slagged off for that. And instead, he put the black cap on his head, and he put his arms out like this, and went, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. All I can do is refer you straight to the full Court of Appeal from this dock. Now, that is only the 2nd time in British written history that a judge has done that. And he said, I'm doing this in front of this jury. He's saying to this jury, you've come back with the wrong verdict on her.
No, they don't apologise for anything, judges.
And, no, he actually did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's great.
And he went 7 years, which was a third of the minimum.
That's a small tariff. What, a life sentence then?
Yes.
That's very small.
He said, there's nothing I can do. He said, you have been found guilty of gangland murder. I should have got, if he believed it, I would have got a minimum of 21. Yeah. He said 7.
Yeah.
Now, I did every day of that 7 years, and I was still in closed prison, and I was in Newhall prison.
As well, weren't you?
I was in the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, they invented a category for me called a travelling cat A.
Okay.
You'll read it in my
book. It's a new one.
Yeah, they said...
Tell us about it.
Because when I was on remand, I was just normal.
Yeah.
Got convicted. Yeah. Well, they still left me as normal. still left it till my appeal, still normal. When I come back from my appeal, the Home Office said you should be a Cat A, but they forgot to make you a Cat A, so they've invented a category for you.
I heard of that either.
You're a travelling Cat A.
Travelling Cat A.
So I said, well, what does that mean? They said, well, you can only go to a Category A prison. And the only other Category A prison, apart from Holloway, is Durham.
Durham, yeah.
They went, so you will have to go to Durham. And I travelled as a Cat A then. Totally different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But then I got to the end of the 7 years. I was in Newell and on the door, and everybody was locked in lunchtime. So, you know, if you hear something, everybody gets up to go, oh, what's happening? So I've heard, Linda, are you decent? I went, yeah, of course I am. It was the SO. So he said, can I open you? Oh, he said, would you like to come down to the office? So I went, why is that? So he said, I've got a little bit of bad news. So I said, is it my mum, my dad, my kids? He went, oh, no, nobody's died. So I said, well, if nobody's died, then whatever it is, it can't be that bad. He said, can I open your door? He said, because I'm talking to you through the door. I went, yeah, open the door. And he went, it's just come through from the Home Office. They've added another 8 years on top after I'd done the 7. And everybody went, and you could hear this, and it was like a big echo, went all the way round the wing. And everybody come out and went, you just got another 8 years. I went, yeah, I know. And I thought, you bastards. And I still ended up doing 18 years.
Yeah, 18 years. It's a long time, Linda. Like I say, just to say, I remember, and it was, I'm going, you know, well back, and I remember it because it was, they put me up there, of course, to get me at the end. I was on the Northern Circuit, and I was still a Cat A. I was released to Cat A at the door, but it was my last New Year's Eve, and I remember I was up there, and I was up in Durham, and I used to hate in the morning, I used to hear them chains they used to pull in the bins or something. It used to be like, oh, this is a mental torture in this gaff. But I'll never forget it. And I was on that wing, just across from H wing. You know, and you was over there.
Yeah, I was
right?
on H wing.
Yeah, you was on H wing there, right? So, just tell us a bit. 18 years. You know, I know it's a long time, but how would you describe that 18 years then, Linda? You know, of your imprisonment?
Well, unlike my first sentence, that I thought, well, I'm justified. I should be here. And I did every day, and I thought, that's another day gone, another day gone, another day gone. I deserve to be here. My mindset was totally different, because every day I thought, I shouldn't even be here. I should not be here. And I thought, I'm not going to rock the boat with the screws. They didn't put me here. I'm not going to, I was just plod on as normal and just fight my case. Because at the end of the day, the people that put me there were the police and the jury who found me guilty. So there's no point fighting it. And I just thought, I've just got to plod on. But I could never justify one day of that sentence, not one.
Yeah, look, it's a very unique, amazing, you know, life. You know, it really is. As you can see, one of the last things that I would say, right, you know, is another bit of kind of real, right there evidence in this is you've done a lie detector, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Under all the restrictions.
It was the latest.
Yeah.
The latest lie detector out, which is iDetect, and you sort of look into a screen. Your sort of face is fixed. You mustn't move your eyes. The computer goes into your pupils, and it's you
so it can't be cheated.
Can't be cheated.
Yeah,
it does
can't
it,
be cheated.
And I passed.
So they asked you all the questions, didn't they? Simple.
Yeah.
Did you kill him?
Yeah.
Was you involved in it? Did
And
you have any part in it? Did you plan it? Did you you're lying? All of this stuff.
Yeah.
And you passed it.
I passed it.
You passed it completely. Yeah. So
and they say it's 99 point accurate.
You know,
I mean, all I would like to say is, when I got the 7 years, had I a 7-year tariff, had I have done it, I would have started saying, right, when do I do my offending behaviour? I want to get home. I wouldn't have sat there and gone, I didn't do it, I'm not doing any offending behaviour, I'm not doing anything. And just sit there and sit there and sit there. I ended up, the judge said 7 years, I did 18, because I said I never did it. And that surely must say something as in depth as the lie detector.